Um, yeah, I'm coming from Denver this evening, where I live near Denver. And Colorado is originally where I'm from, but I spent 5 years in Minneapolis and did my MFA at the U of M. I also lived for 3 years in Hanoi, Vietnam, and 3 years most recently in Beijing, China, and just returned last year from there. You can find my work if you are so moved. Most recent work in So-and-So Poetry, Alluvium, and Black Warrior Review. And I co-translate poetry for the Spittoon Literary Magazine to share contemporary Chinese poetry with English-speaking communities. So with that, I'll start. I'm gonna share 4 pieces tonight that all come from a series of poems I wrote either while in Beijing or inspired from my time in Beijing. One of the things I loved there, I was really intrigued and often moved actually by the language that I often saw on clothing, like a lot of it in English or some version of English, on jackets and sleeves and pants and shirts and everything. So I started to collect these phrases and turned them into titles of a whole series of poems, which I'm working on assembling into a chapbook. So the poems I'm sharing tonight all come from that series. And the first one is entitled, "We on an ultra light beam, this is a God dream." 2 months into my second and so emotional already, not just the weeping, but the shudder huff thing my dad does when listening to Simon and Garfunkel. Such a tiny sound, the smallest hurting, like how much the soul can remember, wrapped in the starry womb and kicking in the dark, desperate to go through it. But you are not yet sweet, though you are mine. You are an unripe fruit, lacking character. So far, you have only a mass that is your own, a primal cellular intent. Your minute need machine thrums near my liver. Yet you are mine, as much as my body is mine, or not at all. A foreign immigrant in my midst. B said, how weird to have not me inside of me. And it is the most private invasion by invitation, othering through intimacy. We are concentric peoples. You make yourself visible after lunch, if anyone is watching. They make comments like, future soccer player, like already a little bruiser, or you're positively glowing. Listen, every one of us starts with a bruise. And if I'm glowing, it's just my star collapsing, motherfucker. Not even born, my babe, and already the world stacks narratives around you. We live inside walls every day. I am Lao Wai and Yun Fu on the metro. Neither of us can be invisible anymore. A lady shoots a selfie with me behind her. I look straight at the camera. I see you. I will be seen, seeing, being seen. After work on the platform, small screens flicker in the corner of my eye, mimic an approaching train or a tear. The glint of this first, utterly untranslatable fact that we begin encircled and end encircling. And the second of these pieces is called A WORMAL Day. Government puppet crosses the city to the patriotic office. While the paid IE she daily fails to understand, feeds milk powder to her baby, takes him out to pose for pictures next to the roses and play with the neighborhood boys, their toy guns. Her body flares, then settles. The desk slips into permanence. Suspicion is a journey she'll choose not to take day after day. In the second restroom stall, she learns to avoid the sharp screw ends. Left hand on the wall to steady her tottering squat. At the desk, she learns to avoid exposed sensitivities. Words like trade war and the names of certain powers, man-sized and nation-sized, to avoid certain suggestions and most questions. She begins to learn the language of emojis, is told to avoid the cute llama that may mean fuck your mother. The chair creaks forward, the blue cubicle wall a vertical blanket, a taut and muted flag of some comfort-longing country, which is all of them. The door to the office opens only with a key card, the magnetized kind. Doesn't a symbol mean anything anymore? She watches videos of her baby on WeChat, sees him take a bath, eat his first dumplings. She balances word equations ringed with mirrors. All this complicit grammar to establish how the sanctioned lid closes, whether it slides or falls, what holds it in, what keeps it out, and what slipped in just before it shut. All right, next one, titled, What is it about you that happened? I used to have I used to have hands like houseplants, vaguely diagonal, diagrammatic, used to avoid couplets, tired gestures such as used to, such as. I've learned to compose a miniature universe of gestures, drag and drop. Still, I don't want to fuck it today. Today, I don't feel like fucking anything. I feel like reading maxims and changing. There's a sticky holy book, a beast with a headache, a false wall. I'm watching carefully. All these moving stories. I know wind is a major character and honey is abundant, and some have names, but some are just called what they are. Dysfunctional threads. The only way to keep living is to build an archive, daily words and fashions, the highest form of revolution. I'm telling against the clock, quiet stories that must matter, or what has a life added up to. Untold equals never happened. Like my hands can still play the pathétique, but only when I read the notes. Okay, one more piece. Am I okay on time, Francis? Okay, great, just making sure. All right, last one. Everything having to do with so many people together. I ache to take a doctor home with me, sit as long as it takes to uncover the full catalog of oddities. Ask, this mass here, what is this? This tiny blackness above the muscle, the deformation resulting from this motion, name them. What I mean is to know myself as only someone else can. Show me. What I mean is to be narrated. Someone said, quote, scientific and moral progresses go together, unquote. What I mean is to be drawn within alien frames of reference. Someone said, quote, what is not progressive is not the object of history, unquote. Said, quote, the present is the moment of the grandeur of mankind, unquote. But now we all live in the same time, and that's not it. Blood exits to be measured by weight and volume, and even what they call light flow is in fact darker than we imagine. It dries black maroon, like the inside of a mouth in shadow. I too have tried to overcome modern perfection, have praised alien cultural elements, and spoken of the rest of the world. Wir sind alle Ausländer does not mean brightness going darker as it evaporates. The blood flows, or it flows out, luminous. Very little noise is spilled. It forms a closed system. In other words, access is not the same as ownership. I preserve a Chinese plum inside the globe of my mouth, close my teeth around its black maroon pit like an equator. What it is to live on the outside with no intention of entering. I will not surrender my tongue, and the fruit will not surrender its mass to me. That is all. Thank you. Thanks for listening.